Hello, hello. Welcome to Oath Sessions. You're joined by me, Gabe, and I'm joined by a very special guest today. We've got Malarkey on board. How are you doing, mate?
Hey, yeah, I'm good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So, been keeping busy during Corona then? What have you been up to?
Yeah, yeah, unbelievably so. It's been one of those times where I think when it happened, I had so much planned, which was different to what I'm doing now.
Yeah, yeah.
And all of a sudden, like, I just kind of had to grab the opportunity, and it's almost like I just kind of did what I wanted to do. Like, I just
Mm.
enjoyed making the tunes again and really got stuck in because it's been a while since because I was in a period of time where I was doing a lot of stuff around major labels and big advances and all these kind of things. And then it was taking it back to why I first started doing it when I was like, started producing when I was like 13, 14. So it took me back to the kind of like, yo, why do I enjoy doing this? What
Yeah,
are
for
the
sure.
things that inspire me? And kind of going from there, kind of going from there and yeah, just making tunes that I love and enjoy and just finding something from there, not worrying too much about what it was, but just keeping myself occupied and just at the end of the day making stuff I really was enjoying. It was one of the I just didn't even think about what I was doing too much. I just was like, yo, I don't know how long this is going to last for. I don't know what this is going to be. Of course, it's lasted a lot longer than a lot of people were thinking. So I was kind of
Yeah, for
like,
sure. And I think it's a lot of a time where everybody's more likely to be on their screens and kind of like, you know, consuming more social media, listening to more music. So it's almost like a perfect time to get back into it.
yeah, I mean, it's almost like one of those things where people have gone backwards in a sense, not in a bad way, but like a lot of people I know who were killing it previously before this COVID thing and like, were releasing tunes every month and all that and had like an amazing drive and everything that they were doing. All of a sudden, those people now have almost kind of they held off releasing a load of tunes. And I think now they probably regret it because I think there's a lot more artists coming through who weren't doing that beforehand and now are doing that and is suddenly taking that spotlight. And now they're having to almost play catch up because they weren't releasing during those months.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting thing that I wasn't expecting to happen that's happened.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, like the longevity of it as well. Like we were all thinking it was just going to be maybe a couple of weeks, couple of months. But I mean, if you manage to get on top of it right at the beginning, all the DJs and producers that stuff that started live streaming, I'm sure they've, made a bit of a killing with that.
Yeah, man, you just look at like Sophie Tucker,
Mm.
people like that. I think they got into the top 5 most watched like music streamers in America last year, like huge. And they were live streaming every day of the pandemic. They were like
Jesus.
live streaming from their home like every single day. And it was that consistency that they just really built up something. And now I think that's reflected in their Spotify numbers. I think they're at like
Yeah.
7 million monthly listeners. I mean, they're killing it on numerous other sides before that, don't get
Mm.
me wrong. But I think now, like that consistency thing and keeping up with that stuff has been awesome. And they were doing it before anyone else. So yeah, I mean, I think it like I haven't done a lot of like live streaming kind of stuff. I used to like that was kind of one of the things that I got my first start in really doing a lot with Malarkey
Yeah,
was
yeah.
doing a lot of stuff on Facebook Live and things like that. But I just never moved over to Twitch or anything like that. Not that I wouldn't do it. I think it's more of a case of just trying to like find the time and find the equipment. And there's a lot of other people who do it as well. So it's about if I'm going to do it, I'm going to find a niche
Yeah, of
and
course.
do it. I'm not just going to do what like Retrovision or MoFalk or Morgan J. And there's a lot of Hexagon guys who do it already.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
for sure.
need to find what I do and what I do specifically to make it work for me.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. And that makes a lot of sense because obviously with this whole Corona lockdown, there's been a lot of like digital festivals that have come up, and a lot of artists, big name artists getting on there, doing their live sets and stuff. Is that something that you kind of you said you dabbled in it a little bit with Facebook Live? Is it just couldn't get the equipment or stuff, or you got to have really good visuals and stuff? What was the
Yeah,
main
I
like?
think I think I think everyone jumped on the live festival thing right at the start of it, and of course at that point though, a lot of my Malarkey stuff just wasn't there in terms of even being asked to do anything like that. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, no, it's cool, man. Like I got it. But like now the live festival, live whatever hype has died down.
Yeah.
And it's more likely that I'd probably, get a chance to do something like that. So it's like one of those things where I've done a lot of like guest mix stuff, as I've done for you guys. Like I've had a lot of people ask me to come and do guest stuff for their radio shows and things that. And that's off the hype of 1001 track lists and things like that.
Nice.
Which I'm really grateful, and I'm always happy to do all these different guest mixes and stuff. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's something at the end of the day. I don't really mind what it is. Like, at least it's something to, keep active and keep myself out there.
Yeah, for sure. And what do you reckon is going to happen to all these digital festivals? Do you reckon it's just a phase, or do you reckon it's actually going to kind of keep going into it? Because obviously a lot of these DJs and artists and stuff kind of built a bit of an online fan base now, where people from anywhere in the world, not just the city that they're touring into, can actually go and tune in and stuff. Do you reckon after this whole Corona lockdown thing is over, is it still going to be a thing? Or...
Yeah, I think for some of them they need to be on a bit more of an international scale. Like there's one I saw Don did the other day, Don Diablo, and he did one. I think it was just for India, so I think it was only people in India could watch it. And I'm like, yeah, it's a shame, because like I think it's a good thing if a lot of people can watch these online and they're really easily accessible. I think it's a really interesting question. It depends how popular festivals are, and I think once they come back, because if they suddenly show signs that coronavirus massively jumps at festivals and things like that, maybe a lot of people are going to be more careful.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's going to be a significant factor. We don't really know yet. We have like a small estimate, but we haven't had like any of the big ones in the UK, like Reading and Creamfields, which are meant to be taking place this year.
Yeah,
so,
bit of a stretch, I would think.
I just think I think there'll always be a space for things like that, because it always brings together a community online. Like people live streaming and things like that, live streaming DJ sets. And even the nice thing is, I think a lot of things like these platforms like Twitch and YouTube, it opens up for younger viewers who probably aren't able to go to a festival or a nightclub and see their favorite act.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think that's where those things kind of have more potential. And I think also the thing people like with those things is potential interaction. So maybe if these live festivals can be on a more interactive level with the artist, like where you get to ask questions live and things like that, I think that's where I see the potential going more so if they become more interactive. But just watching someone, I feel like, and it's nice, but I think it might only be an A-list tier level artist thing, like a Garrix or a Don Diablo, where people are ready to pay money as well to actually invest in watching those.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Going on to a bit more about you rather than current events and the state of the world. Right, you said you got into producing, 13 and 14? How did you get into it, and why is mainly the question.
Yeah, so I guess when I was about 11, I was really into Guitar Hero. I was like playing a lot of Guitar Hero, man. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I feel that.
I love Guitar Hero, and so I was really into the music of that, and so I started learning actual guitar. And then like a year later, I joined a band, and we were doing stuff and playing like actual gigs and stuff. It was really good fun as a kid. And so I did that for a few years, and then I got my first laptop.
Yeah.
And then when I got my first laptop, I was like, oh yeah, like this is cool, it's cool. And then I saw a band in my hometown actually play before us, but they're about the same age as us, like 14, 15. And I saw them using like a synth and almost doing kind of Prodigy style music. I mean, it wasn't like crazy. It's not like, when I say Prodigy, it's like they were doing like the kids version of the Prodigy, which was dope still for me. Like I was like, yeah, that's awesome. And then went on to listen to more like Prodigy, Pendulum, and then Skrillex. I remember being just like a massive game changer for me, man. Dude, I remember literally, mate, I Googled, like, I remember being around my grandparents' house and hearing like Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites because people were talking about that right at the time, and then because this was 2011, I think. And,
yeah.
I remember actively, like I vividly remember Googling what instrument makes dubstep. Like, because it's amazing when you hear those sounds for the first time. Just unreal, and you're just like, that's got to be some kind of like
some
mega like
torty instrument thing. You got
yeah,
no
man.
idea.
So, mate, I went searching for time to try and find something like that. I was listening to a lot of Linkin Park as well because they were doing the crossover stuff, and I was like, oh, how do I make sounds like that? And then I got like a crap little like Korg, not an M1, like one of those Chaos pads.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nice, but they're not like a door. And that's what someone should have said to me. It was you need to get a DAW and like get well, it would have been massive at the time, get massive and so that's kind of where it started for me. And just kind of Skrillex and dubstep and getting in from the harder sounds, and then just learning like Avicii Levels, Martin Garrix's Animals. I grew up through all those times, and I was DJing from like 14 in my first year of like high school. Like we were doing like 13th birthday parties and things like that. That was good fun. It was good fun. Like I really enjoyed it. And I did it with my best mate, who now he still is creating stuff, but he does more like a mix of disco and like kind of left field, kind of more ambient-y, chill. It's great. I love his stuff. But that's kind of how I got started into all this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just want to backtrack a little bit to the whole Skrillex thing, because obviously that was like, 2011, 2012, right? Because the thing is, I'd find that a lot of people who are into electronic music now kind of got inspired by that generation of that proper like dubstep wubby of Skrillex, you know, even down to people listening to like Monster Cat when they were younger. Do you reckon that had a big influence on us when we were younger and kind of leads us to where we are today in terms of our music taste?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, everything influences you. Like, from me being in the choir, like as a kid, like that's influencing my music, and like you already hear that in tunes like Shackles and things like that. Where I'm taking those kind of choral, gospel influences and things like that. I think it's everything around you influences you to one degree or another. But yeah, I mean, Skrillex and people like that changed my life. I remember seeing Skrillex, and this was a massive moment. I remember seeing him on the front cover of it was like either Kerrang or Rock Sound, and like seeing a dubstep artist on the front cover of like a rock magazine. It was almost like the start of the end for me. I was like, yo, it's rock music. That's out for me. I'm gonna check out what Skrillex and all these people did. Like Korn then did a whole album with Skrillex and 12 Planet and Kill the Noise. I was listening to so many of that stuff, and then it all just kind of carried on when I just discovered a new dance artist. But for me, like when I started really getting into the house stuff, that was it. But I used to buy like Ministry of Sound compilations of the dubstep stuff and all those things. Like that was incredible to me. That was next level.
Yeah. It's lovely when you hear a tune and an artist and it kind of just revolutionizes the way you kind of like think or listen to certain genres of music. It's mental.
It's unreal.
Yeah. I want to know, what is kind of like the best story you have from DJing or something? Was it some dodgy equipment? Was it the people that run it? Is there one that sticks out to you?
I've actually been kind of lucky with a lot of gigs. Like, I mean, I've played like a few festivals. I played a festival when I was like 16, 17. I won a competition to play it against like 9 other DJs, which was quite cool when I was like 15, 16 anyway. Like, but there's a guy who was interested in managing me and my mate, and he somehow snuck in to the festival, and then they had to kick him out of the festival because he just wanted to see us, and somehow he'd managed to bribe the person on the gate. Like, it was a big festival as well. Like Sigma were headlining our stage, and the main headlines were like Naughty Boy and people like that. Like, it was a big festival, and this manager managed to wangle his way in. And I saw him at ADE a few years ago, and he was suddenly like surrounded by my team. It was quite funny. But, and he was like, "Oh, bloody hell, all right, Sam." Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, man, that's so good." But yeah, it's funny when things like that happen. So, I mean, that wasn't a bad gig. That was just like a funny time. Do you know, I haven't had like a load of bad gigs. I think they've all gone decently well. I mean, I did a lot of like the 15, 16s, like so many of those when I first got started.
Yeah, of course. It's got to climb the
which was
ladder.
great. I mean, and I think any DJ shouldn't be afraid to like do those, and like you shouldn't feel like you're above those at any point in your career. Well, maybe. All right, yeah, I lie. Like maybe if you're dead mouse, you can turn those down. but still, even those, like if they're paying enough money, then why not?
Yeah, exactly.
Like come on, like Oliver Heldens isn't going to turn down £250,000 if you pay him.
Yeah,
for your wedding.
You get some like rich kid to come along and be like, oh yeah, play at my 16th birthday, so you drop
I mean, have you
half
ever
a mil
seen
on
my
it?
Super Sweet 16? Like, come on. Like
that would be a performance and a half.
Oh god, I've done a horrible one actually where I did last minute. Someone was like posted on Facebook, like typical gig. They were like, oh yeah, we need DJs for like tonight. Can we have like someone cover?
Yeah.
And I didn't discuss like a price or money with them beforehand, and it was me and my mate. And it was just awful, mate. It was at the back of a fair, like a little, not even a village fete, like a school fete. And like we were just like a stool, and we were DJing. And then we get to the end of it, and we're like, it's that awkward money. We go up to the organizer, and she's like, "Oh well, thanks for doing it." I was like, "Oh no, we're not getting paid, man. We're not getting paid." And I was like, I just felt like so awkward for dragging my mate out there to even bother doing that. I mean, this was when we were like 15, 16 again.
Yeah.
Funny times though, mate. Funny times. But
yeah, for sure.
I mean that like nothing like I can't say like, oh yeah, no, there was like fights, and actually there's been plenty of fights. none involving me. It's inevitable. That out. Like people have I've had police shut down gigs, I've had like ambulances, like not for me as well, by the way. Like, disclaimer. This is typical UK stuff. Like when you're a teenager, like teenage parties. I was doing so many of those. But all great. I can't really knock them. Like because they've all made me a DJ and the experience and all the things that I am now.
Yeah. So. For sure. And when you were like DJing at parties and stuff, were you kind of like more playing your own music, or do you kind of like play a bit more like party stuff that everyone kind of knows? You can't really pull out the house bangers. Okay.
It was like mashups of like dirty stuff. Like it was like really cool bangers. Like I'd just make like a load of mashups of tunes that were like popular at the time, and then put them with something like pretty heavy, because a lot of the mates that we had were also into like, not maybe specifically like house stuff, but they were into like dance music as a general thing. I mean, in the UK, we love drum and bass. So finding like really good jungle records and things like that, like the switch up, poppy kind of tunes work, because you want to. It's the thing where you want to entertain the whole room, right? You want to be able to relate to every single person in that room. So finding records that can do that is the most important part when you're doing something like that. So,
for sure.
But luckily, a lot of our mates were like really into, just housey, like just anything kind of filthy. And at that time, there was a lot of like the bass house stuff going on. So Jaws and like F Word and a lot of the UK based people, like when Chris Lorenzo was doing like really dirty stuff. So, and DJ Zinc, all these kind of tunes. And that was like the kind of stuff that was like really engaging.
You could pull an absolute stinker out the bag and everyone love it.
Yeah, mate. Exactly. And it was awesome. Like, and that's why I don't regret doing those gigs. Sometimes they'd be the best ones, because it would be just, you get a bit of reputation around you, because it was just like they prefer you doing it than someone who's like in their mid-40s or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're in a real danger then of them not understanding what people are into at that time.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of a bit of a disconnect from 20 odd years.
Yeah, I think they call it a DJ Dave.
I love that. I haven't heard that one before.
Yeah, DJ Dave, because you can go, oh, hello, all right, ladies and gentlemen, it's DJ Dave. That time Dave of the night. Guess what? My best mate Tom Westy does an amazing bit on TikTok. He did like a fake DJ, like a wedding DJ, and he was going, he's got Wonderwall on, and then he suddenly like switches it. He starts playing Rhythm is a Dance, and like, bum, 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 bum. He's going, oh, ladies and gents, we're getting back to the 90s. He pulls down a fader. Oh, guess what? I'm taking you with me. just typical things like that. I've seen a lot of that because I've done a lot of weddings and things like that. It's
Oh
like,
no.
I'm like, oh, love it.
I feel like those kind of DJs have such a reputation. Like, you know, you see all these videos online as well of just people taking the absolute mick out of like certain types of DJs, like wedding DJs and stuff. And like, there was this one geezer on TikTok who kept like pretending to be like this like 90s DJ, and it's just hitting out all these like tunes, and this man was just spitting out of his arse. It's hilarious.
You have to be so careful when you're doing these kind of birthdays. Like before lockdown, probably summer of 2019, like late summer of 2019, I did a show for, he was quite a rich kid. Like I think it was like his 18th, because he had like all of his college mates there and things like that.
Yeah.
And he had booked me as like, I don't know, maybe because I did it as a gig where it wasn't like under my name, so maybe they thought, I wasn't as cool, but I told them I wasn't. Everyone was like, oh yeah, no, this man's all right. And then like, but he'd also booked like a proper artist, so he'd booked like a DJ and an MC.
Yeah,
who were gonna do like, and they were like proper guys, like old school thing. And I was like, yo, safe. Like I have like mad respect for these guys.
Yeah.
But then they were like doing like the proper mad thing, like D&B, like they were playing to a stinky crowd in like the back end of Bristol, right? Because that's their thing. That's what they know how to do.
Yeah.
And they were meant to play for like an hour and a half, and the kids just didn't get it. And so they suddenly, I came back like 15 minutes before my set, and they were like, yo, can you get on now? Because like, we don't even want to be doing this. Like, but I felt bad for the family because they paid for them to have like a hotel room there and all of this stuff, like actually paid for these people to stick around and like be a proper act. And so it's funny. And then like I came back on, and then all the kids, like, because I was like, I know what will just like, I'll just jump them back on this floor again. But all of them were like really disconnected from it. So it goes to show, I think, you know, and that's why I say I think a lot of DJs should maybe try and do these kind of gigs beforehand as well, because they're such good learning experiences. Because I think you're always going to assume, like I've got this really heavy, sick record, it's going to work, and it's just like, yo, you better be ready to work that in some beautiful way, because like you got to build up an audience's trust before they're going to just dance for anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's definitely a trust between the DJ and the artist and the audience.
I was going to ask something, and I completely forgot. I need to get a notepad and write it down or something.
Good, man.
Yeah. All right. What is the worst request you've ever gotten? Like, you know, somebody coming up to you being like, you're playing a stanky set, and they're like, can you bring on Dancing Queen? Something just awful.
Oh, mate, I've had plenty of those, but I mean, let's move away from those, because I feel like, let me tell you something, okay?
Come on, then.
Like, let alone you're asking about song requests, man, just requests in general. So I was like, some requests, like Jesus Christ, because like song requests, I've had them all, genuinely, like, but some of them are weddings, so I don't even like knock it too hard. Oh man, I miss Freshers so much. I was meant to be opening for Majestic last year for Freshers.
Nice.
It would have been dope, but like, of course, it didn't happen. I hope it's happening this year. I don't even know, man. It's a different guy. Yeah,
I mean, we can hope for the best, but I mean, if everything goes well with, you know, big old Boris's lockdown plan, then everything will be all right.
I'm holding out hope, man. I mean, I'm definitely going to plan to go over to Amsterdam when I can as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm working with so many people over there in terms of like the Hexagon guys and the spinning guys and stamps, etc.
Yeah. Amsterdam seems like to be like quite a bit of a hub for, you know, the latest electronic music people. I just see so much stuff over there, you know, like ADE and stuff, and it's ridiculous.
You ever been to ADE?
I haven't.
Oh man, yeah. No, it's mental. It's really good. Yeah. I miss it a lot. It's just such a good networking thing, and actually, I keep on saying it in interviews, actually, but it's where I built up such a good connection with Hexagon.
Yeah.
I hadn't met Ricardo from Hexagon, who's like the label manager. Hadn't met him before ADE. I'd only emailed him, and we built up such a friendship. And this is like 3-4 years back now.
Yeah.
Built up such a friendship, and I wasn't releasing on Hexagon or anything like that, but like every time I was in Amsterdam, I'd be like, yo, let's hang out and that.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you look at the results of actually putting in that time and effort with, you know, and being friends with someone first and foremost. And if anything did happen business wise, it ran like clockwork, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
we just smashed it out of the park working together on that side. So yeah, now it's, now we've got a really good working relationship, and just goes to show actually why people talk about these kind of interactions. Like that's a first and foremost kind of like case study.
Yeah.
As why that's so important, actually.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing I've heard time and time again is if you want to make your ways in the music industry, you have to know the right people.
Yeah, more than having the good tunes, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Some people argue about it, but like the music can be something that can be sorted. Like you look at a David Guetta record or whatever, and they've got like 10 writers on it, and it's like, yeah, the music can be sorted. It's like about knowing those people, and having the product and having it doing well. Like even if it appears not to be the best record, like imagine how many people probably rejected that in Manbeck Rose's tune at first, right?
Yeah.
Such a weird record.
It's
and then
strange.
like it does a billion views, and then all of a sudden it's like they'll sign anything from if it's got his name on, probably.
Yeah. It's crazy how his stuff is kind of like just immediately taken off after that one remix, But
yeah, 100%.
I guess you got to do something a bit different because the original song was a rap song, yeah.
Yeah, it was St. John, and it was just like really basic kind of casual trappy tune, and then he just added that bass and pitched it up a load, and I mean,
all of a sudden, but
man, I don't think anyone would have taken it beforehand, and now like, yeah, it's one of those things where you just kind of have to take a bit of a chance and just see how things do.
Yeah,
that's just the situation, and now he'll probably work forever. Because of everything that's happened, and he's won a Grammy for it, etc. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things about knowing those people, right place, right time. Again, they say a lot about that.
Yeah.
Just I mean, the music's important. Like the music being good is important, but it's something that can be fixed and sorted along the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Speaking on the topic of making tunes, you've had some absolute tunes out there. You've been featured on radios and stuff. Have you ever been in the car and one of your tunes has come on, or just what was that like if it has happened?
Do you know, I've always had like songs related to me come on. Never one of my own. Like I haven't been listening to or I've been told. I don't know if that counts. Like being told. Like that doesn't quite count.
What are your mates rung you up and be like, oh yeah, your mate, your song's on the radio?
Yeah. I've had people like when daytime like Radio 1, like that's when I get like texts and people being like, yo, turn on BBC Sounds right now, and I'm like, oh okay, yeah. So I've done that. Remixes that I've co-produced on Radio 1. Like I've run downstairs, put it on the kitchen radio, things like that. A cool one actually was when I was in Belgium and I was shooting a music video. It's about 3 years ago now, and the girl who was singing on the tune. So it was like late night. I was completely on my own. It was the day before filming because I'd just flown into Belgium there, and I went to a McDonald's and they were playing the girl who was the singer on the track's latest record on the radio in the McDonald's. That was pretty epic. I was like, yo, like that was a really good omen. You know what I mean? That was like a really good omen. And dude, like that was insane. That was back when I was on Sony and that, and it was like an amazing experience for all that. But just having that suddenly happen was like, oh yeah. But I mean, I'm really grateful for every radio play I've got. I just never expect them sometimes, so I don't actively listen in. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm just going to end up disappointed.
Yeah, exactly. Always, is it going to come on next? Is it going to come on next?
Yeah, 100%. No, that's the thing.
Do you still reckon radio is as big as it used to be? Because obviously, like, people nowadays think about getting a song on the radio and they're like, oh, my song's on the radio, that's sick, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of people nowadays, their main form of consuming like audio media is like Spotify or Apple Music or YouTube or SoundCloud. Do you think radio still kind of holds that pedestal it once had?
Yeah, it does. So much money in it.
Oh yeah. I mean,
and this is the thing people like don't even consider is that people will still put $1,000 just behind a radio plugger to try and get on radio.
Jesus.
And I shouldn't say how much, but I did a tune which was like a remix, and it was an unofficial remix, but I got sent over basically how much money was in the like American royalties for it potentially from just the biggest station in America.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
was like, I was like, even if I get 5% of that money, that would be just insane.
Damn.
From neighboring rights and things like that.
Yeah,
It's the thing that is so important to me personally, because I've got a publishing deal with Warner Brothers, and they only see the money that really comes in from like syncs, so stuff on TV
yeah.
and stuff on radio. So those two big placements. But then the other thing, this is why I push on it so hard as well, and everyone forgets this, I think, when pushing their tracks, is that you can use all the data that actually you've acquired from radio plays.
Yeah.
You can then go back to the DSPs. You can go back to Spotify and Apple Music and be like, hey, look, it's been played like so much on radio. Like, these are people, like, those are the kind of people where they actually take notice, because Spotify and YouTube and SoundCloud, we all know the numbers can be absolutely fudged, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can bot the hell out of a track and get it a million streams. That doesn't mean people are enjoying it. It means that people put on a playlist at work and the song gets played 3 times from that alone, and just a load of people do that. So, and that hence why the numbers drop so radically on a weekend as well. Whereas on radio, that's like dedicated people who are curated and paid to actually, you know, curate playlists and things that are major for audiences. And, you know, it's still for Radio 1 in the UK. I think there's nearly £100 for a play, or is it? I can't remember which one. Like, there's still so much money in it on that side. And I think a lot of these platforms of radio are also looking at how they can diversify. They're also, you know, they always still have like the biggest names in the world come in for interviews on there. I still think it's just a massive, massive platform for a musician or for an artist, for anyone to get on radio. And I will not knock radio, especially not right now. I just think there's still a lot of weight to it, and we forget as well, like, we're in the digital age, like you and me, we listen to stuff on Spotify and YouTube. Do you know how many people like still buy stuff like maybe on iTunes, or listen just to radio, or don't have those kind of platforms? I know my grandparents don't, right? I know a lot of people who maybe can't afford Spotify, but they can afford a radio, right? And so, you know, you look at someone who goes on Britain's Got Talent and then performs a song, and then you don't see it in the Spotify trending, but where you will see it is on like iTunes. Because there's still some people who are like 5-10 years behind the technology. So there's also things like that.
It's very true. It's crazy to think that, like, you know, for us, like iTunes and like buying records and stuff, so back in the day everything's just streamed now, but there's still, I would think, even a massive market, because, you know, even I know some people don't really use Spotify. You know, my parents are still buying stuff on iTunes and stuff. Like, there's still a massive market for it. It's
a crazy market for it. I think it's a very different market as well that you have to bear in mind. But if you look at the statistics, it will be people who are probably 40 plus doing that.
For sure.
Because kids will just like listen to it on TikTok or Spotify or whatever, and that's their way of getting music, and that's totally cool. But I think radio is still going to be like an important thing, especially for now. Because, you know, I think it all depends what radio does as well. Like, radio has to keep on doing events outside of things like Radio 1 Big Weekend. Think about the UK. Kiss FM do a lot of like history stuff. I know the Capital Weekend are actually looking at doing their own events as well. So doing things like that, you know, it's a brand recognition thing. They're going to have to become more like a brand and less associated them about worrying about radio. Radio part of it, I think. But still, it's such a massive thing to be able to say that you're playing, your records are getting played on Radio 1 and things like that, because that's like such an exclusive, like, we only have 10 tracks that we're going to play on Party Anthems this week in the, you know, hour-long slot that we've got, 10 to 15 or whatever. Like, you know, it's a very dedicated list. Like, you still got to do like a massive amount of work to get in there if your record's going to be good enough. And Yeah, that's basically it. I mean, I could go on about it, but
Yeah, no, for sure. I
pretty much
think
sums it up.
it holds a lot more like gravitas as well. You hear your song on the radio, you're like, holy crap, like that's my song. But if you you see somebody play it on Spotify, you're like, oh yeah, well, you know, it's just a play.
Yeah, genuinely, it's how I like to evaluate a lot of artists. Like, oh, cool, you've got 1 million monthly listeners. Let me see how many times you get played on radio. And it's like, oh, you get played like 13 times in the past 90 days. That's not
Yeah,
that
it's like
impressive to me. Because I'm just like, okay, like you just got put in a botted playlist and
that's
yeah,
it.
like,
Yeah,
and you just release probably a slap house cover every 2 weeks. Like that's not impressive to me.
yeah,
What is
not at all.
impressive if you can have 1 million monthly listeners and then, you know, 1,000 to 2,000 radio plays every 90 days. You know, if you look at someone like Purple Disco Machine,
Yeah.
like, you know, that Hypnotized tune, in the past 90 days, that's probably done about 52,000 plays on radio.
Damn.
Like, there's going to be like a serious amount of money for that. It's like ridiculous. So, and I think it's one of the biggest ways that artists don't realize that they could be making money from, but they can because radio pays by law. Like, they can't, and it goes directly to the artist. Like, you won't get any kind of like nonsense from a label or anything like that saying, oh, there's not the money there. Like, that's the job of PRS to collect those royalties, get you your money that you're owed.
For sure.
Crack on. So yeah. Anyway, that's that. I think it's really important.
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much money is actually to be made in music because it's such a widely consumed thing. You know, you don't know anybody who doesn't listen to music. It's almost part of like our everyday life.
Yeah.
So it, you know, obviously if something's so essential, it's gonna pay a lot.
100%, man.
Yeah. Lovely. Right. Let's have a look at a couple other things.
Cool.
What obviously each artist kind of produces music in their own way. You know, like they've got to make their own sound, you know, sound design, blah blah blah. When you're creating a tune, do you kind of go through an initial step process of like, right, I'm going to start with this, and then build from there? Or every time it's like, let's just do something completely different. I'm just going to take a completely different path.
Wow. I think it's like, it can really, really depend on what I'm going for. I think the best things are when I go pretty much in with an idea and have the element of how I know I can make that idea already. So for instance, like Shackles, I had the vocal because it's a cover.
Yeah.
Exactly what I was doing. I was like, oh yeah. I know the sound that I'm going to go for with that, and I can get it. I think I probably did it in a day or two, you know, in terms of production wise, because I just knew what it needed to be. So things like that, that's where I probably do it best. And then I just have go-to elements that I kind of be like, oh yeah. Like I know that works, so I put that in.
Yeah.
And then, I try not to overthink it too much. I just kind of go, look, I'm just here to make the best song possible.
Yeah.
That I'm really happy with. And maybe that's easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Because maybe some songs don't resonate enough. But I know people who do worry about what they release. I have a lot of mates who worry like, oh, does this fit my style? Does this fit my sound? And all of those kind of things. And I'm like, yo, if it sounds good, just do it. You know, just
send it, mate.
Yeah, just like worry about those things later, because you're gonna have so much, you know, otherwise you're not gonna progress. And I think a lot of music is trial and error.
Yeah.
You know, releasing stuff, seeing how well it does, and then go, oh well, okay, these important people like this, I'm going to then put out, you know, this, and keep on doing that if people are liking that. And then, you know, in a few months later, when people are bored of that, you can change it up and then do something new. You know?
Yeah. No, for sure. That makes a lot of sense. And like when you're producing, right? You know, you kind of start off with an idea, or you kind of pull a bit of an inspiration from somewhere. You know, you got a bit of a rhythm, a bit of a tune in your head. How accurate do you reckon you're able to make it from that idea in your head to actually putting it in the production? You know?
Yeah, nowadays it's like 90 to 95% probably.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, like some stuff it won't be. Like some stuff I won't be. Like trying to do something like a Blow Claire or something like that, I'll just be like, yeah, maybe I could, but like then trying to put my own spin on it is like, yo, like that's going to take a little bit of time to get right. But something like Shackles, where I'm like, I know what elements need to be in that song.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like, yeah, I can get it to that level now. It used to be a lot less, but also I don't also try and do stuff that's too complicated for myself as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I could think up now like the coolest, craziest dubstep line in my head,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to produce that, like, because I don't know how. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I know how to do,
Yeah.
and I won't bother even trying to facilitate something like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a crazy dubstep thing. I'm like, I will just make what I know that I can with the sounds, and I try and do that quite quickly in my head so I don't get too like disappointed or like too
Yeah.
stuck on, like, I'm like, oh okay, I know that I have this piano and this bass and this kick. What would those all sound like, and would they actually work together? Otherwise, is this tune like really, really worth doing,
Yeah. It's like within your bounds, right? You're able to like produce and recreate kind of like the idea that you have, in your area. Like you were saying, if you try produce like a massive dubstep drop, you probably won't have the ability to be able to properly do that.
Yeah. Like, not in a bad way. I mean,
No,
I wish
no,
I
of
could,
course.
but I
Yeah.
mean, it'd take a lot of time, and I'm doing a lot of other things, and which I really enjoy as well, which
For
give me
sure.
enough satisfaction, but I don't have to be like, oh, I'm not making dubstep or whatever.
Yeah. Not living your
So I'm not
childhood
too
dream
worried
of
about it.
being Skrillex.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm just happy doing what I'm doing, and that's seeming to work for me really nicely now.
On the topic of Hexagon, we were
Yeah.
discussing a bit when we chatted before. I got on my notes Hexagon Gremlins for new songs. You were saying about how they all go a bit mental.
Oh, I love it. Like, do you know what? I love them as well. Like, they are the best fan base probably in the world in terms of any label that I've worked with. Like,
Yeah.
they're so dedicated to it and dedicated to Don and just the whole ethos of the brand. And he's like a massive pop star to them. Like, I don't know, like someone like I can't even think of a good example, like Miley Cyrus or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where people will like follow him to the airport and try and work out where he is, and flying into and stuff like that, like crazy levels.
Yeah.
But they love to know the release dates. They love to know like everything in terms of Hexagon, everything Hexagon related. And as an artist, it means like so much actually.
Yeah, I bet.
For people to be so dedicated. It has ended up with like only one or two, by the way, I'll just mention one or two being quite bitter when I've released like anywhere else. Like they go like, no, like how could you?
Betrayal.
Like, yeah, but like the thing that people have to remember is some other artists are locked into deals where they can only release on certain labels.
Yeah.
And so when I do like collaborations with other artists on other labels, it's because they're already locked in to other deals. And so, but you still want to do the collaboration.
Yeah, of course. You wouldn't want to limit yourself.
Yeah, so so some people get really annoyed about that, but it's only been one or two I'll mention. Like, so like other people have been great, and
yeah,
like
sure.
I'm not addressing them. It's more so like a few other people where it's like,
nah.
Like, so, but overall, yeah, I just love that community so much, and
it does seem really good. And especially when you got somebody like Don headlining that, you can have so many people who are massive fans of Don, and anybody who, like you said, releases anything on that label, they're just going to go mad for. And it must be really satisfying. I mean, maybe not satisfying is the right word, but good to feel that these people are eager to hear your song to come out, for it to be released. Must be a massive like, wow, doing something right, you've signed to the right label.
Trust me, like the response after like Daylight, which was like my first Hexagon main tune, was insane, because of just the response on that one was like really overwhelming. It was amazing, and I'm like so grateful. But that one was such a good fit with Hexagon as a brand and all those things. So yeah,
no, for sure. And I think the thing is, from what I can perceive with doing stuff super creatively, like art or music, it's not like one of those things you can just kind of churn out. It's not business or finance. You kind of put the policies in place, or you churn the numbers, you know what I mean? Like, to be able to produce good music, you got to have the motivation, the creativity. And I feel like that's not something you can really force. Am I right?
No, not at all, man. You got to be like, you know, you've got to be going to a load of gigs all the time as well. Like that's what I was doing. Bath as well. I was seeing all types of music and having a lot of different influences, and I think overall that's opened my eyes to so many different things as well. Like we were saying earlier, you were asking about, things like dubstep and that, and what influences around you, but actually it's all about, like, for me, what else you can take out, like, stem from this creativity and, like, from all varieties. And that's why actually a lot of people are like, oh, like I see people say, oh, don't go to music colleges or universities, whatever. No, you can find it out on YouTube. But it's not about what you learn on those courses. It's about the experiences and seeing other people.
For sure.
And getting out of your bedroom a bit, like actually going and spending a few years in a different place and experiencing shows and music that you wouldn't have listened to in the first place. And that's the differences.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think, with that as well, going to university for music or production or whatever, you're going to be around like-minded people who are on the same, like, wavelength as you. Whereas if you're kind of sitting at home, or you go talk to your mum about what track David Guetta's just dropped.
But yeah, and it's real. It's in real life, man. Like, there are people you can talk to on Facebook, and that's always great. And I love talking to people about music on Facebook, etc. But it is one of those things where I think you do want to sometimes be put a bit out of your comfort zone. I see a lot of people who kind of stick to one thing that they know that they're good at, and then they just kind of go, oh yeah, I'm just good at doing like that sound or that style, and they just never develop or go outside of that. And I'm like, you could be doing like so much more creatively, but they probably haven't had the experience of seeing what other people can do and then learning off that and being like, seeing something like a neo soul band or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like listen to how the synth work is in that, and what if I could do something like that in house? Or there's a huge amount of different styles. You can see what works and what doesn't work as well. That's a good thing. There's gonna be like people who maybe are worse than you, and you're kind of like, all right, like I really don't want to be like that. So how can
I stay the hell away from that?
Yeah, a lot, like no disrespect to that kind of thing, but it's like it is important to learn what doesn't work and what does.
Yeah,
quite early on.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point, because the thing is, like, a lot of music we could definitely say is subjective, and you might like drum and bass, but you might hate house, and somebody else might love house and hate drum and bass. It swings and roundabouts, but there still is a point where it's a good performance or a bad performance, or a good song and a bad song. Some of those things aren't subjective, and I think it's important, like, that people kind of realize it's not always just not liking that genre. You can tell very much a production value of something, and you can base opinions off that. Like you were saying about how people kind of do bad, like performances or songs or whatever. And you're like, right, I'm not going to do that, not because you don't like the genre, because you can tell it's done not very well.
Yeah. You kind of summarized it there nicely.
2019 switched to a bit of an alias, doing mainly pop and D&B.
Yeah.
BVD Cult.
Yeah.
I'm probably butchering that name.
Bad Cult. Yeah, nice.
Bad Cult. Nice. Absolutely nailed that.
That's all right, man.
Why the switch? You mainly like future house in you, and then
just
wanted to try something different.
Yeah, Bad Cult. It was like one of those things where it started as a joke, like all good things.
Of course.
I was just kind of sitting here, like in this very chair, the very start of 2018, and I was like, was it 2018 or 2017? Anyway, Shape of You had just come out. Ed Sheeran. I was like, have you done any digging into this project at all? Do you know any of this?
A little bit, but not super in depth.
Okay, yeah. So Shape of You came out, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to like do a remix of that.
Mm-hmm.
It was like one of those now or never moments where I kind of paused it all of a sudden on Spotify. I was like, I have something here if I want it. This could be kind of crazy if I do it. And so I was like, I'm going to just do it and put it out. And I thought like absolutely nothing of it, man. And then just like a load of YouTubes like picked up on it really, really quickly. And it just spiraled out of control. And I did it like not under Malarkey, because I was like, oh, I don't think it's like a Malarkey thing or something. I don't even really remember. But like the project just had a huge amount of hype behind it all of a sudden. And so Yeah, I then did, originals with like one of my best mates at uni, Will Hexagon.
Mm.
The whole project of our first song, Made of Something, is just that Shape of You remix with Ed Sheeran's tune deleted and changed chords, basically.
Nice.
Like it's all the same drums and effects and structure actually
Yeah.
as that tune.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to I was like, yo, it makes sense because people liked what I did there, even though I don't think I did something vastly different, And so anyway, and then signed a deal with Sony for that project. Did a few years with them.
Mm-hmm.
Had that hit in Belgium as I was talking about, and then early 2020 signed a deal with Exploded, which is part of Universal in the UK, and released some records through there as well. And now the project's on a bit of a hiatus again, kind of like how Malarkey was a few years ago. I reckon I'll come back to it soon. But the problem was I went all in on like D&B for that project, and then all of a sudden, Corona happens, and what can I do at that point?
There's not much.
Yeah, I mean, I'd have loved to have been doing more, but like the fact was like trying to release D&B during that time was just not ideal. And the reason I started changing the project over to drum and bass, I'd done a little bit of that in the past with the project, but I was like, if I fully go in there, because I was going to D&B parties like each week almost at that point. Like I was really living the genre. I was like backstage at, just before lockdown, I was backstage at Subfocus, Mackie G and Danny Bird, and Danny's a good mate of mine. And I was just living that music for so much of that time period that I was like, it made a lot of sense for me to be doing drum and bass.
Yeah.
I was doing way more of that than I was house music. So I was like, yeah, let's go all in and just see if I can kind of do something here. And the first release came out when pandemic happened, and I was like, oh my God.
Unfortunate timing.
Yeah, dude, it was like unbelievable. And like we had put so much time and money and effort into the release that it was just like really sad to see actually. But we'd gone back and forth negotiating on this, this deal for like 6 months or something like that. Yeah. It was like a really long deal with the Exploded guys, and it was almost soul crushing, because I was just like, not that anyone had been let down. We'd just been let down by the universe almost. So,
it wasn't
but
the
instead
plan.
Of like crying and like moping over that, that's why I came back to the Malarkey stuff, and I was like, what can I make work here and make massive and make people pay attention? Like, because I was just like, I don't want to just be sobbing and crying over stuff. Like, I want to actually progress in my career, no matter what that is. Just I want to be doing well.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's how. And just before that, the month before lockdown, actually, I'd had Beatport Future House #1 with I Got 5 on it. So I was like,
nice.
There might be something here.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, the D&B stuff, all right, it's a gamble. It's cool that we're doing it, but it's a gamble. What if we go for like the Malarkey stuff and just, if that's had a hit record, maybe I can come off the back of that and do something really cool and make this last a little longer. So yeah, that's kind of what happened.
Nice. Oh, that sounds cool. So it's just kind of, you really got into the scene, bit of a like, right, let's just get into it. Let's just do it. Yeah, no, that sounds sick, to be honest. Like, everyone loves a bit of drum and bass, and I've seen a bit of drum and bass live, and the kind of energy and the feeling that it gives you is almost like unrivaled, I would say. I think it's like you said, you just got to be there. It's a lot more of a live thing. You can't really like sit at home and like, absolutely banging in your ear.
I think to an extent, some of it you can, but like a lot of it, like, yeah, no, it's the vast majority of it, unfortunately, you just can't. You can't appreciate to its fullest extent. And then at that point, if you can't appreciate the music to its fullest extent, I don't think it maybe works. Like, especially if I wasn't getting the inspiration to do it, it just wasn't who was I really doing it for?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, for
sure. I wasn't
sure.
even doing it for myself at that point. And that's the worst thing. I'd just be doing it maybe for other people.
Yeah, you don't want to just kind of churn stuff out for the sake of churning stuff out.
Yeah, that's what I wasn't gonna do. I wasn't what I was gonna do. So I was like,
Not vibing it.
let me just crack on with Malarkey and just crack on.
Makes sense. And so, with releasing songs, obviously you said you're sitting on quite a few, and you're gonna release one with this label in Amsterdam. Do you only release songs through like labels and stuff now, or do you think about, oh well, I might just pop this one up on SoundCloud or YouTube or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we talk about this because the latest release that I've just put out, the Redondo Malarkey tune, this is being recorded on 13th of April, so I don't know how many streams it's done already. But in the first weekend, it's done 50,000 streams. It's in housework and hot, happy beats, etc. But on Spotify. But yeah, that record is almost basically an independent release because it's through our management's label. Like our management owns the label.
Yeah.
Label partnership with the ADA, who are the distributor. So in a sense, that's almost like an independent release. I mean, I do a lot of my tunes as like, these dance labels because you get the interaction from the fan base as well.
Yeah.
And I want to be playing with shows. So like, you think about how many Stamped Records stages there are and Hexagon record stages, etc.
Yeah.
etc. So yeah, I think, a lot of that kind of community is important for that. But maybe this weekend kind of changed my mind a little bit about, actually more and more so now, it's about creating the platform for you as an artist.
Yeah.
And, I think if you start to build that relationship up with curators at Spotify, etc., it won't even matter where you release tunes because they're going to know who you are. And that's what I think labels are becoming way more savvy to now is, because I don't think a lot of labels want to be releasing artists who aren't, maybe not getting that attention, but like, even if they maybe don't like the music as much, but they see it getting a lot of attention, i.e. Slap House, then they're willing to put that time and effort and release it just because they know that the curators who like them are going to be picking up on it and doing the money. It's a business at the end of the day. It's
it is.
People get upset about the fact that it's for music business, and then, but I mean, like, it as we were talking about earlier as well, it's all product.
Exactly. And like, although you love this kind of stuff, you're not going to always put stuff out there for free. You've got to make a living of it because you love it. And exactly.
I mean,
it's just
Spotify. Spotify. You're only paying £7. I mean, but also SoundCloud, YouTube, it's all up on. It's all there for free as well to check out as well. You can even illegally download it if you want.
Yeah, that's your
share. What up?
Yeah. A couple more questions. Where did the name Malarkey come from? That's the main one.
Yeah, Malarkey. It was just I just wanted a cool name, like example, things like that. Like I love those kind of names where it's like says it on the tin, it's memorable, and no one else kind of It's like one of those things where it's like it's pretty distinctive
for sure.
Even if someone else had the name, I was like, no one's like big.
Yeah.
Name. So I didn't even care. I was just like, yo, I'm going for it. And I own the Spotify now, even though there's 2 blimmin' albums from whenever. I'm going to try and get them removed from my Spotify page. But yeah, man, like I am Malarkey. I know there's a band called The Malarkey. I'm not going to send them a cease and desist.
They're got to change your name.
Man, they're in Bristol as well. Like they've played like venues like very close to me. They've opened for like bands that I'm mates with and things like that. And I'm like, that's funny as hell.
Yeah, I think that was all the main questions out of the way. If you got a bit of a remix coming up, I heard.
Yeah.
Do you want to chat about that?
So I guess by the time this is dropped, maybe, or like whenever at the end of April, we've got a remix of Money coming out. And that's a remix by the awesome JLV from Hexagon, So that's going to be cool. That's dropping on Spotify the end of this month, and then new one on Hexagon in May, and we'll see where we go. I'm actually filming stuff tomorrow for the new one on Hexagon. Got to go up to London, so that's gonna be fun. Doing some more stuff like this, basically. Man, I'm so excited just for what's coming up over the summer, hopefully as well. We'll just see how things go, but I mean, there's a lot of talks going on right now for just progressing everything, because I think more and more people seeing the bits that are going on, and it's exciting times.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, sounds sick. All sounds really promising.
Hey, thank you, man.
And I think that's all for the video portion of Oath Sessions today. We are going to be doing a exclusive audio only bit with Malarkey. We'll do some quick fire questions. So if you would like to listen to that, that'll be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Welcome to Oath Sessions. Oath Sessions. Home of lifestyle and music.
Are we still breathing? Are we alone? Guess we dived away too deep, I should have known. Oh, my body, I won't let go. On the run from all the rules we've overthrown. Oh, you touch me, sending chills out down my spine. And I'm going under, and you're floating in my bloodstream to my mind. Keep holding on, 'cause we're going under. Going under. We're running out of time. I can't get it out my mind. Time to leave it all behind. I know. Don't try to keep from going under. Oh boy, we're running out of time. I can't get it out my mind. Time to leave it all behind. Don't try to keep from going under. Are we still breathing? Are we alone? Guess we dived away too deep, I should have known. Oh, my body, I won't let go. On the run from all the rules we've overthrown. Oh, you touch me, sending chills out down my spine. And I'm going under, and you're floating in my bloodstream to my mind. Keep holding on, 'cause we're going under. Going under. We're running out of time. I can't get it out my mind. Time to leave it all behind. I know. Don't try to keep from going under. Oh boy, we're running out of time. I can't get it out my mind. Time to leave it all behind. Don't try to keep from going under.
Baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty. Baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty. Baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty. Baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got
love it, honey. Just give me money. Just lay it on me, honey. Just lay it on me, money. Ooh, I love it, honey. Just give me money, 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 money.
Hey, dirty, baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty, baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty, baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty, baby, I got your money, don't you worry. I said, hey, baby, I got your money. Hey, dirty, hey, dirty, hey, dirty, baby, I got your money, don't you worry, don't you worry, don't you worry, don't you worry. Money.
In the corners of my mind, I just can't seem to find a reason to believe that I can break free. Cause you see, I have been down for so long, feel like all hope is gone. But as I lift my hands, I understand that I should praise you through my circumstance.
Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. You broke the chains, now I can lift my hands. And I'm gonna praise you, I'm gonna praise you. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance.
Just wanna praise you, just wanna praise you.
You broke the chains, now I can lift my hands.
I can lift my hand.
I'm gonna praise you, I'm gonna praise you. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you.
Everything that could go wrong, all went wrong at one time. So much pressure fell on me, I thought I was gonna lose my mind. Lord, I know you wanna see if I will hold on through these trials. Lord, I need you to lift this load, cause I can't take it no more.
Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. You broke the chains, now I can lift my hands. And I'm gonna praise you, I'm gonna praise you. Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance.
So I can dance.
I just wanna praise you, I just wanna praise you. You broke the chains, now I can lift my hands.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna praise you,
I'm gonna
praise you.
I'm gonna praise you.
Been through the fire and the rain,
Found in every kind of way.
God has broken every chain, so let me go right now.
So I can dance now.
Praise you.
I wanna praise you.
if we keep on dancing. We don't have to talk it out. Fire turns to ashes. The deeper you're invested, the harder you come crashing down. And I don't wanna risk it all. Rather be up with you, rather be right there. I don't wanna make the fall. I'd rather be up with you, rather be up with you. And I don't wanna risk it all. Rather be up with you. I'd rather let you take me higher. Rather be up with you. Rather be up with you. Rather be up with you. Rather be higher. Rather be up with you. Rather be up with you. Rather be right there. I don't wanna make the fall. I'd rather be up with you. Rather be up with you. And I don't wanna risk it all. I'd rather be up with you. Rather be up. Rather be up. I'd rather be up with you. And I don't wanna risk it all. I'd rather be up with you. Rather be right there.
When I was 17, I did what people told me. I did what my father said and let my mother mold me. But that was a long ago. I'll be in control. Never gonna stop. Control. To get what I want, 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 what I want. Now I'm all grown up. In love, I didn't know what hit me. So young and so naive, I thought it would be easy. But now I know I've got to take control. Now I've got a lot to control. To get what I want, 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 what I want. Now I'm all grown up.
wish I was to forget your name. I let it all go up in flames, but don't try not to think about it. It never seems to go my way. Why did you hurt me bad? I never knew you could do that. Hope it'll ricochet to you. I do. I'm telling you to change the past. Nobody can do that, but it'll ricochet to you. Yeah, you. We were chasing signs, but maybe I was love at the wrong time. Falling for these lies, waiting to be brought into daylight. Ooh, 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 ooh. Waiting to be brought into daylight. For hours to forget your face, I let the memory fade. But though I'm trying not to think about it, it never seems to work that way, no. Why did you hurt me bad? I never knew you could do that. Hope it'll ricochet to you. I do. I'm telling you to change the past. Nobody can do that, but it'll ricochet to you. Yeah, you. We were chasing signs, but maybe I was love at the wrong time. Falling for these lies, waiting to be brought into daylight. Ooh, 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 waiting to be brought into daylight. All these lies, waiting to be brought into daylight. Ooh, 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 ooh.
you, trusting you.